From the CSI Softball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet welcomes you into NCAA Division II softball coverage on the ECC Network. In a winner-take-all regular season finale, the College of Staten Island Dolphins host the Mercy University Mavericks. The winner of this game will advance to the East Coast Conference playoffs. Those playoffs, of course, begin next week on May 2nd. Once again, my name is Joe Foreman. My broadcast partner is Nick Bavona. And Nick, we've said it many times already today, you can't ask for anything more on the final day of the regular season.
The adrenaline is certainly pumping for both of these teams. We mentioned it in Game 1, senior day here at the softball complex. 3 seniors graduating after this year, but their seasons might not be over just yet. Obviously, winner-take-all game for both of these teams, and a lot on the line trying to get that final spot in the ECC playoffs. And you could not have asked for a better game number 1 if you're the Dolphins, obviously. Anissa Acosta, 2 home runs. We saw a lot of 2-out RBI hits for the Dolphins as well. Kennedy Ruth went the full distance, and if needed be, could be in line to pitch in this game number 2. Alexandra Frenza, gets a start for the Dolphins in this scheme. So it'll be up to her to try to keep the Dolphins in a position where they can win this game and move on to the playoffs.
I think if you're the Dolphins, the only negative in that first game is that you didn't score in the last 5 innings. They scored all of their runs early. However, Kennedy Ruth was great in the circle, only allowed 1 run, pitched very well with runners on base, did not allow the big inning. That's been something that's been key for her all season. And as we suspected, Alexandra Frenza gets the game to start. Her first pitch to Allison Murphy misses for ball 1.
And a very interesting note for the Mavericks and their starter here in game number 2, who we already have seen so far in game number 1. So we'll have to see if fatigue maybe plays a factor when they come up to the circle and they have to pitch in the bottom half of the inning. But if they can get some early runs here, it can make things pretty much easier for them to try to keep a opportunity at a playoff berth alive. As Murphy quickly is now up in the count here, 2-1.
We do have our mobile hotspot. It is my company hotspot, but works just the same. Our video should be streaming correctly without any lagging during this game, and I don't suspect we'll be knocked offline again. For those who missed it, campus-wide Wi-Fi maintenance today. Scheduled maintenance, no Wi-Fi on campus, as that misses down and in for ball 3. And Nick, we saw it early on multiple occasions in game 1. Here, Alexandra Frenza runs the count full to the first hitter she faces.
We'll see if Murphy does here on 3-2.
And the payoff pitch is on the inside corner for a called strike 3. Murphy didn't like it.
Murphy was not happy with that call. Thought the ball was a little bit on the inside. And we saw a lot of strikeouts in game number 1 end with punch-outs on the inside corner for a strike called third strike. So see it right there once again with Frenza getting the early punch-out on a long at-bat and 1 away, and it brings up Shannon Cisco, who had the only run in game number 1 for the Mavericks.
In a game like this, 1 called strike can represent a huge swing in the game. Right here, the difference between a leadoff base runner to start the game and a first out for Frenza as she falls behind Shannon Cisco 1-0. Cisco shows bunt and takes a strike.
And I think if you're Mercy, too, after what happened in game number 1, now the pressure's really on you in this game. Obviously, the frustration showing in that first at-bat with Murphy looking for the first out of the inning. They now have a lot on the line, obviously. They just needed to win 1 game here today to get into the playoffs. But now, with the win-in situation for these 2 teams, a lot more pressure is being put upon them here in this game number 2.
No doubt, Nick. And I think it really hangs over you that you scored just 1 run in game 1. It's a Mavericks team had scored over 20 runs in 2 games against the Dolphins last time these 2 sides met, as that's lined right back to the circle. And Dolphins infield had no play as that ball, I believe, hit Frenza in the leg.
Did. And hopefully Frenza is okay. It looks to be that way.
Not showing any ill effects right now, but no chance for either Frenza or her infield on that one. And it's a 1-out single for Cisco. Avery Miller will be the batter. That sails high for ball 1. Mavericks in game one had a first inning base runner. That runner was stranded. And they only threatened a couple more times in that game. So that's popped up, shallow right center. And Warner makes the catch on the infield dirt for out number 2.
And I think if there's anything the Mavericks have to be concerned with, it's that situation that they had in game number 1. A couple of runners left on base. Now, they had a couple of at-bats where they swung at the first pitch and it led to a couple pop-ups in the inning. And I think if you look into this game now, they obviously want to fix that mistake and avoid the same result happening here in game 2.
That's hitting foul territory down the left field line, out of play. And I think if you're the Mavericks, the concerning thing from game 1, and we saw it a lot from the Dolphins later in the game, but specifically for Mercy, a lot of weak pop-ups, quick outs, getting under the ball. There weren't that many good swings after the second inning for either team, with the exception, of course, of Anissa Acosta, who drove the ball every at-bat. That's hit in the air again, popped up, shallow left. And Caffel is there to make the catch for the final out of the inning. Mavericks strand 1 in the first. We head to the home half of inning number 1. Dolphins come to bat with no score. The Aesthetics Med Spa and Wellness Center. Our approach to beauty and wellness begins with a holistic plan tailored to the unique needs of our patients. When we consult with patients, we let them tell us what their problem is. We don't tell them what the issue is. We find out what they're looking for, and we discuss, and then we give them options. If you're looking to achieve radiant skin, you've come to the right place. We offer hydrofacials, microneedling, Opus Plasma, peels, facial and laser treatments, laser hair removal, body sculpting, fat freezing, hormone replacement therapy, Botox, IV drip therapy, and more. We are open Monday through Saturday and are located at 720 Forest Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10310. We hope to see you soon. Visit our website at www.chiaesthetics.com for more information. Home first inning from the College of Staten Island with no score between the Dolphins and the Mavericks. Mercy with 1 hit in the first inning. They stranded a runner on base, and Nick, thanks in part to you, Eileen Balderas will have to start a new hitting streak.
Right under the bus to start the inning, okay.
I've had it done to me many a times. It's your turn.
All right.
As that's fouled away, and Balderas is in a 2-strike hole. But
I'll remember that next time you break up another no-hitter.
There will be a next time.
There definitely will be a next time.
Especially when we start covering Little League and the games are only 6 innings. Nick and I, 2 voices of the Little League Baseball Championship in New York State. That will air on the PDF Sports Network this summer, as that's grounded to short, and Balderas is thrown out for out number 1.
I'll bring up, in a lot of people's minds, Game 1's hero for the Dolphins. They had a couple of heroes in that Game 1, but Costa got the Dolphins started with that home run in the first inning and then answered with another home run in the second inning. So she comes up again with 1 out in the inning. And we'll see what Benson can do here. As you mentioned, Joe, she pitched in relief in game number 1 and now gets to start here in game 2.
And I think that bodes well for the Dolphins. They've seen her today as that's grounded to short. What a diving stop, and the throw is in time. What a play at short by Avery Miller as she throws out Acosta for out number 2.
A huge out recorded right there by the Mavericks. As we all know, Acosta getting on base can be a dangerous spot.
And Nick Acosta looked hobbled coming off the field there.
I think on the tail end of the replay you can see it too. And you can.
That's it well out to straightaway center field. And that is over the head of Seppala in center. It lands at the base of the wall. And Wanzer is into second base standing.
Just by an inch. Just got it
Just
there.
barely. But she's in with a 2-out double. And the Dolphins have a runner in scoring position. And that will bring up Amanda Stalker.
So nice 2-out hit right there from Wanzer to extend the inning for the Dolphins. And a chance for Stalker. As I mentioned in game one, the Dolphins had a lot of 2-out hits that led to a couple of runs in the early part of that game that gave them that 5-1 win.
And Stalker takes a called strike on the outside corner. That last ball hit by Wanzer was hit really well.
Yeah.
Hit on a line. It contacted the base of the wall on a fly. As Stalker takes outside. Dolphins with another chance to go in front in the first inning. Benson looking to strand Wanzer with 2 away here in the home half of inning number 1. And Stalker takes a strike on the inside corner.
Chance for Benson right here. 1 strike away from getting out of this jam, keeping the game scoreless for the first inning.
Count now 1-2. That's fouled off. Good news for Benson. She got the first 2 outs very quickly. Wanzer also got on quickly, attacking the first pitch. Count remains 1-2 on Stalker. And that's sliced foul. Last check at baseball, they were late in that game. It was 9-0 Malloy. That Malloy offense, something else, regionally ranked. They had 16 hits on the board when we left the baseball complex. And that's on the inside corner for a called strike 3. We saw that call in the first inning as well, and these hitters will have to adjust. We are through 1. No score between the Dolphins and Mavericks.
Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Samantha Frank will lead off for the Mavericks in the road second inning. No score between CSI and Mercy in this winner-take-all Game 2 of today's ECC doubleheader. Both teams 7-12, Nick. The winner moves on to the playoffs.
A lot on the line, as we've mentioned a bunch of times here today. As Frank goes first pitch swinging. It's a very long foul ball down the left field line.
If you're the Dolphins, one of your goals today had to be to keep Frank in the ballpark. And they did that in Game 1. Ruth seemed to have her number in that game. Struck her out a couple of times. And Frenza misses up and away.
And think about what this game also means for Alexandra Frenza. If you look at those 2 games against Mercy early on in the season at Dobbs Ferry, Frenza got the loss of both of those games via the walk-off for the Mavericks. So Frenza is looking for some revenge here today.
She misses outside with ball 2. Frenza probably pitching her best at the most important time of the season. Has had a couple of really good starts as of late. Dolphins really struggled against Stack in yesterday's doubleheader. That was collective. First game better than the second. Frenza now behind 3-1 against Frank. And she misses badly with ball 4.
I think that's an early concern. Last 3 pitches she missed in that bat were all high for balls. And I think if your Frenza here needs to find the strike zone in this next at bat, but could be a spot maybe. We saw Sepala have a extra base hit in game 1. I'd be curious to see maybe if she tries to lay down a bunt and move the runner into scoring position.
Certainly a possibility as she takes high. Now, I think a big part of that is how confident you are that you can hold the Dolphins to a very low run total.
Right.
I think the more likely situation to bunt is one where you feel as if the Dolphins won't be able to score on you. But the way these two teams have played one another in those first 2 games specifically, you have to assume that the bats are going to come alive.
Right.
Specifically for the Mavericks, who didn't hit much in game 1. And I think at the very least, after falling behind 5-0 early, credit to both, or particularly in this instance, their pitching staff, for making sure the Dolphins didn't win via the run rule. Because that would have spared the Dolphins a lot of pitches from Kennedy Ruth, as Frenza falls behind here 3-1. But if you're the Mavericks, forcing that game to go the full 7 was important. Comes the 3-1. That's grounded foul. If Frenza can come back to get Sepala, she has the bottom of the order behind her, 7-8-9.
And especially if she were to walk this bat right here, then the looming danger of a bunt certainly would happen in the next at bat.
Do you bunt with 8 and 9 coming up next? That's fouled away.
I think it's definitely a decision you have to make, because obviously with the impact of this game, depending on how this game goes, you might need to get runs early on to win it and hold on to the lead. So they might have to go small ball.
I think if you have a lefty with good speed, you think about it. As the walk is issued and Sepala is on. And Dolphins certainly were hoping to avoid issuing free passes. Ruth did a pretty good job of that in game 1. But Frenza has walked 2 here in the second inning of game 2.
And brings up now Madison Hack, who gets to start in game 2. Dolphin corner infield certainly will have to play in, and she's immediately showing bunt.
And that's bunted fair. I thought initially they waved it off, but
That's what it looked like.
I thought so too.
Regardless, it's a good sacrifice bunt because it moves the runners into scoring position.
So Hack lays down a successful sacrifice, and the runners advance to second and third. Now, Nick, the putout was 5-3 or 1-3?
It was 5-3.
Okay. I was following the umpire initially.
I was too.
All right. At the plate here, Onika DeBrule. DeBrule didn't play in game 1. She comes to the plate in a big spot here. Second and third, 1 out. Another chance for the Mavericks with a runner over at third base and less than 2 outs. The number 9 hitter on deck. That's Dylan Ryer. DeBrule ahead 2-0. And she looks at a strike.
Frenza really needed that strike right there to give herself some confidence. Try to get herself out of this jam. First base is open in this scenario, but Dolphins would love to get that second out and hold the runners at bay.
Huge at-bat here. Comes the 2-1. And pitch misses high as they fake a throw over to third. Now, obviously, you don't want to walk the bases loaded with the command issues Frenza's had in this inning, but that will set up the force all around. As that's in for a strike, and the count is full, 3-2.
Another one of those inside fastballs this time from Frenza. DeBrule thought she had ball 4. Now full count here, 3-2. A huge pitch upcoming here.
That inside corner is there to be had, and that pitch misses high for ball 4. So Frenza has now walked 3 in the inning, and the bases are loaded with 1 out for Dylan Ryer.
Now in this spot, Joe, we're going to have a conference at the circle. For the Dolphins, when it comes to their bullpen, how much longer do you think it would take the Dolphins to start thinking about maybe warming up a pitcher in this spot?
I think one more walk. One more walk.
Considering it's the number 9 hitter, too, and then they'll be back to the top of the lineup.
I don't know if anyone's throwing in the bullpen.
Not sure either.
Can't see it from here, but I would think if Frenza walks another, she might be out of the game. That being said, a ground ball hit to the right spot here could end the inning.
Right.
The big question is, if you have a ground ball to third and you're not playing in, you definitely go home. Don't think twice.
I don't even think twice about it.
I agree with you.
Because even if you try to get the play and get the double play, you can't guarantee you're going to get it. At least try to get the guaranteed out at home. That way that the run at least does not score in case there's a fielder's choice on the double play attempt.
I think with a left-handed batter, the only way you get a double play is a ball hit straight to third base.
Right.
Motley would have to step on the bag and then throw to first. And even then, it would be tough. As the first pitch is in for a strike to Dylan Ryer. And that's big to get ahead 0-1 if you're Frenza.
I think the only dangerous spot right now for this Dolphins team is if it's a bloop single maybe into left center field. So with an 0-2 count, obviously, the Dolphins do have the infield basically all the way in. But for those outfielders, they're going to have to play shallow in the outfield to make sure nothing drops in front of them to potentially bring home 2 runs.
Well, Frenza is ahead 0-2 here. And a defensive cut there by Ryer sends that pitch foul. It remains 0-2.
And she got called out, Joe. Was there interference or something?
I have no idea.
Did she?
I think she stepped out of the box.
Right. I was going to say, did she just step out of the batter's box? Is that why?
How does that get scored?
I've never seen that scored.
Well, we'll have to score a strikeout for now to keep the inning moving and then come back to it.
Well, that's a big break for the Dolphins now. They're now 1 out away from getting out of the bases loaded jam. It'll be up to Allison Murphy with 2 away.
I've certainly seen that called before. I can't remember the last time. So that's grounded foul.
Quickly.
Nick, I have to take this phone call, so you take over.
Okay. It's quickly now an 0-2 count for Frenza here. 1 strike away from getting the Dolphins out of this inning and keeping it scoreless. Here comes the 0-2. Line to third, off the glove of Motley. They get the tag. They got the out. And the run will not score. Heads up play from Balderas at short to get the tag at third. And the Dolphins escape bases loaded to get out of the inning. We'll have to get a second look at the replay. Murphy hit that one on a line right to third off of Motley's glove. And a heads-up play from Balderas to make the tag and keep the runner from scoring as she gets the putout at third base to retire the side. So the Mavericks do get 3 walks of the inning, but do not bring home any runners. We head to the home half of the second. Scoreless between Mercy and CSI. Olivia Warner will lead off here at the bottom of the second. Still scoreless between CSI and Mercy, as the Dolphins were able to escape a major jam in the previous half inning. Bases loaded, 1 out. As Warner hits this one a mile high towards second. And the catch will be made by Murphy for the first out of the inning. A great heads-up play from Balderas at short. who was playing behind the third baseman Motley on the line drive to third. It went off of Motley's glove. And the runner going from second to third got caught in a rundown, leading to the putout at third base. It's Bridget Motley now the batter for CSI. One away here in the inning. Hits a rope into right field, through for a base hit. Motley had a great game number one at the plate, gets a one-out single here in the bottom of the second. CSI gets their second hit of the game as they look to get the first run of the game. Now bring up Mariah Carcano. Carcano had a two-hit game as well in game number one. Dribble it to third. Could be a tough play. They'll have to throw it to first. Looked like maybe it was a bunt attempt from Carcano on that play. As Hack threw it on to first. Runner, it brings Molly to second. And gives Cassidy Latour now an RBI opportunity with 2 outs in the inning.
All right, Nick had to communicate with the press box over at baseball.
Latour swings and misses for a strike, 0-1.
We had some communication from the outside letting us know the stream might not be working, but it looks like it's an issue on their end. We are live, so we're good. Missed a great play to end that last inning, huh?
It was a great play as that one's hit into left field, but it will be caught to retire the final out of the inning as the Dolphins will strand the runner in scoring position.
The Dolphins strand Motley over at second, and we are through 2 from the softball complex with no score.
Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Back for the top of the third inning here at CSI. Still a scoreless game between the Mavericks and the Dolphins. As Mercy will have 2, 3, and 4 here in the inning. Cisco will lead it off. And she goes first pitch swinging, hits this one into right center field. Carcano on the run, makes the play. And it's a 1-pitch, 1-out for Frenza to start off the top of the third. Good start for the Dolphin pitcher right there. I mentioned she got out of a huge jam in the previous inning in the second. Bases loaded, 1 out. Got a very fortunate strikeout to get the second out of the inning, Joe. And then a very wild play at third base. A line drive off the glove of Motley. Backed up perfectly by Balderas. Balderas tagging the runner going from second to third. Making sure that runner from third going to home did not score to keep this game scoreless.
All right, Nick, I need the first out of this inning. Where did it go?
That was I'll tell you in a second. That one's through for a base hit. Now, trying to remember myself where it was a fly ball to center field.
Okay. Fly ball to center, single through the left side. Thank you, Nick. All right.
A lot of scoring. I try to remember my, trace my own steps.
That should be the last of the troubleshooting I have to do. We're trying to manage 2 events at once with a staff of 5. As that's grounded toward the middle, Balderas will step on second and throw to first in time.
We got a double play, Joe.
6-6-3 on the double play. And that will do it for the Mavericks in the road third inning. Dolphins come to bat in the home half of inning number 3. Still no score from the CSI softball complex.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Back for the home third inning here at CSI. Still a scoreless ball game between the Dolphins and the Mavericks. Sabrina Caffel takes the first pitch strike 0-1. CSI will have 9-1-2 in the inning. Caffel takes the first pitch strike 0-1. Comes the 0-1 from Benson. It's a late swing from Caffel right there. It makes it 0-2. Caffel, Balderas, and Acosta for the Dolphins here in the inning. Caffel's down on strikes. So Caffel's down to start off the inning, and they'll bring up Balderas. We're now one away.
Now batting, number 27, Eileen Balderas.
Broadcast partner Joe Foreman reiterated that I unfortunately jinxed Balderas in Game 1. Her 28-game hitting streak came to an end. She was retired her first time up here in game number 2. She's quickly up in the count early, 1-0, excuse me. Now, currently, Joe is right now on his way to baseball. Looks like they're having issues with their senior day speeches, so he is attending to that, so I'm currently on the call by myself. And so we have a pivotal game here. A win-and-in situation for these two teams. Count now 1-1 to Balderas. It's that one foul behind the plate. It's now 1-2. On deck for the Dolphins is Anissa Acosta with a two-home run game in game 1. Here goes the 1-2 to Balderas. And once again hit foul behind the plate. So count will remain 1-2. It's Alexi Benson doing some great work out of the bullpen for the Mavericks here today. Came in relief in game 1 and now getting the start here in game 2. She misses high with that one to make the count even at 2. Mentioned senior day both here at softball and baseball. Senior day getting underway before game number 2. As Balderas hits this one down the right field line, and it'll be a foul ball. So Balderas trying to make some work out of here for Benson. So now be the 7th pitch of this at bat. Count still remains 2-2. Dolphins would love to get a base runner here in the bottom half of the inning. Give Acosta an RBI opportunity. He comes to 2-2. And then off-speed pitch is in there for strike 3. Balderas down looking for the second out of this inning. Nice off-speed pitch from Benson right there.
Now batting, number 34, Anissa Acosta.
I'll bring up Anissa Acosta now with 2 away. She goes first pitch swinging, hits this one to right field, but it is caught out in right field for the final out of the 3rd. As the Dolphins will go down 1-2-3 here in the home half of the 3rd inning. We now head to the top of the 4th. scoreless between the Mavericks and the Dolphins.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Back for the top of the fourth inning here at CSI. A scoreless ball game between the Mavericks and the Dolphins. Samantha Frank will lead it off here. First pitch from Frenza, hit deep into left field. This one is trouble. It is gone. First pitch swinging for Samantha Frank gives her a home run and gives the Mavericks a 1-0 lead here in the fourth. A huge home run hit by Frank. We know she is capable of that home run power. And right off the bat, you could tell that one was going over that left field wall for a home run. And the Mavericks strike first here in this game, leading at 1-0 here in the top of the fourth inning, and a backbreaker for the Dolphins right there. They've been able to work themselves out of a couple jams early in this game. But that home run now gives Mercy the 1-0 lead. That off-speed pitch misses high for a ball, 1-0. Victoria Sepala, the batter here for the Mavericks. 1-0 from Frenza. Misses high again for ball 2. That's got to be a confidence killer right there for Frenza. Has been working a great game up until the start of this inning. The first pitch going for a home run, now misses with the next 2. We'll have to see how long the least she gets here in this fourth inning as she now misses again for ball 3. And there's a danger of walking Sepala here on 4 straight. It's now a 3-0 count. It could cause the Dolphins to start warming up a pitcher in their bullpen. Is that one in there for a strike, now 3-1. Madison Hack on deck for Mercy after this at bat for Sepala. She now has a 3-1 count. That one hit into shallow left field. Caffel is there, makes the play. A nice bounce back for Frenza right there, gets the out and left for the first out of the inning. Bring on Madison Hack now with 1 away.
All right, Nick, where did that last out go?
That went into left field.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I had to head up to baseball and get them set up for our senior day presentation. Obviously, I'm not there physically,
Right.
but my voice is delivering the speeches, so I had to make sure everything was queued up properly. Had to sprint up the hill, get the stream online, and then get the speeches going. But right as I sat down, Samantha Frank changed the complexion of this game.
Right.
As we were locked in a pitcher's duel, only 5 hits combined between the two teams, and Frank gives Mercy their first lead of the day with a solo home run to left. And the batter did go there as Madison Hack is quickly behind 0-2.
I think for Frenza, if she can get out of this inning just giving up the 1 run, that will not only give her some confidence going into the late part of the game, but it will give the Dolphin batters some opportunities. But as we've seen so far here today, Joe, they have not really been able to touch Alexi Benson. Other than Acosta hitting the home run off of her in the second inning, she's done great work here today.
Dolphins benefited from an error against Benson in Game 1, scored a second run against her as well, as that's taken on the inside corner for a called strike 3. And Hack is set down looking for the second out, but Benson really settled in after coming on in relief in the first game, and I think it's a situation that a lot of pitchers aren't necessarily used to.
Right.
Softball pitchers typically have their game, whether it be game 1 or game 2 in a doubleheader. Obviously, every outing for these teams is a doubleheader as that's hit well to left. But this one will stay in the ballpark, and it's dropped by Caffel. She got there, and it hit off her glove. That will go down as a double. As Caffel had to reach up at the wall. She had to go a long way to get that one. And the Mavericks have a 2-out extra base hit.
And the Dolphins are hoping that will not harm them in this inning, and they can get out of it still 1-0. So, DeBrule with a big double right there.
I thought she had it, Nick, and it came out at the last moment as that is bunted foul by Dylan Ryer. I think whether or not she gets this out, this is probably Friends' last inning because the next pass through the order will be her third.
Right.
I think the Dolphins will probably go to the bullpen in the 5th. I don't see Kennedy Ruth stretching near the fence next to us. She's throwing.
She was a few minutes ago. So
I think she's throwing now,
yeah.
Nick. This is a big out here. Runner in scoring position and 2 away with the top of the order looming. Ryer is the batter that Frenza really needs to get out here.
Huge difference between a 1-run game and a 2-run game. Dolphins really could use this out.
That's taken high for ball 2.
And I think also first base is open, but a walk here would be not the greatest spot for the Dolphins considering the top of the lineup is coming back up for Mercy after this.
You cannot walk the 9-hitter. You cannot walk the 9-hitter. That's fouled straight back, and I get a paint chip shower.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
The paint chip made me flinch. Not the ball. And
As it
Nick,
should be.
And Nick, if you listen to some of the other broadcasts of CSI's road games, not flinching is a very, very big deal at the other locations as well. So it's not just us.
Glad to hear it.
It's how it should be.
Yeah.
You cannot flinch behind the backstop. It's a rule. You must not flinch. Count even at 2. And that's swung on and missed for strike 3. Bit of a half-hearted swing there by Ryer as she goes down on strikes, and the side is retired. The Mavericks strand 1 in scoring position, but not before they take their first lead of the day as Samantha Frank delivers a solo home run. The ECC leader in long balls puts Mercy in front, 1-0. And we're back from the College of Staten Island with the Dolphins trail for the first time today. Still plenty of time left in this game as we're at the midway point. Entering the bottom half of the 4th inning. Olivia Wanzer at the plate ahead 1-0. And that's it out toward the right field corner, falling fast. But chasing it down along the right field line is Ryer for out number 1.
I was going to say before that at bat, this is a spot in the line the Dolphins would, are happy to have down a run now in this game. 3, 4, and 5 in the order, but Wanzer quickly retired for the first out, now bringing up Amanda Stalker.
The Dolphins configure their lineup in a very unique manner where their 2 leading hitters, or at least 2 of the 3 leading hitters, depending on what day it is, are batting 1 and 2. So when you have 3, 4, and 5, you're just missing two of the bigger bats on the CSI roster.
Right.
So that pitch is in the dirt for ball one. And the count evens up at 1 on Amanda Stalker. So it sounds like they've completed the senior day ceremony over baseball. The Dolphins dropped game 1. Seniors over there. Nick Campese, Brian Burkhead, Thomas Martin playing in their final home games next weekend. That's hit sharply to the right side, and that gets by Murphy and into right field. That's going to be an E4 on that one.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. She was waiting for it. That's an easy out at first base. No, well, was there anyone covering?
There was no one covering the bag.
Then it's a hit. Then it's a hit.
That's why I agree with that part of it, but no one was on the first base bag.
Yeah.
The catcher was trying to go there to cover the base, but there would have been no play.
First base was vacant. Not sure that Frank had to dive for that one. Now, the question is, and it doesn't matter here whether it's a hit or error, but did Frank deflect that toward second base? Does that get through if she doesn't make contact with the ball? I think she got a piece.
I couldn't tell if she did or not.
They throw behind Stalker at first.
It's tough to tell, obviously, from the replay, but it didn't look like off the bat she got a piece of it to me. I think it just went under her glove. I think the reaction time just was a second late.
Count even at 1-1. And that's low. Something that I haven't addressed yet that is a very good possibility. It's not a certainty, but it's about as close to it as it gets. This is probably my last broadcast of the season, as that swung on and missed by Warner for strike 2.
The Dolphins hoping to make it a memorable one.
We have 2 more baseball games on the schedule. One of those on Tuesday, the other on Saturday. I'm definitely out for Saturday. As that's chopped back toward the circle. Benson has it, and the throw to first is in time to get Warner, as the Dolphins do move Stalker into scoring position.
And it brings up Bridget Motley, who does have 1 to 3 hits for the Dolphins here today. Also had a 2-hit game in game number 1. So
silly question, Nick. Where was that ball hit?
That ball was hit right back to the circle.
Okay. When you're calling the game, it's too easy to forget you're also scoring the game. And then you have to think to yourself, what did I just say? But that's where I was at a few moments ago. Bridget Motley, the batter. Huge spot here for Motley with a runner in scoring position. And that's a good stop behind the plate to make sure that the runner stays put.
Motley got herself a single into right field her last time up.
Boy, could the Dolphins use another. Big play there by DeBrule behind the dish, as that misses high for ball 2.
If she's able to get something into center field, you see the middle of the infield wide open for Motley if she's able to get something.
Comes the 2-0. That's sent foul off the facing of the Mavericks dugout.
Might be some paint chips from that one. Maybe
might be some wood chips from that one. That's a wooden facing on that dugout. The sides of the dugout and the rear are concrete. The roof is wood. Comes the 2-1. That's low for ball 3.
So Motley with a chance here to walk and keep the inning going. Mariah Carcano on deck for the Dolphins if they can extend the inning.
I'm very curious to see if she would hit. She swung the bat well today.
They laid out a bunt her last time up.
I think it's a 50-50 chance she hits, as Motley looks at a strike. If you're going with the hot bat, she hits. If you're playing the way you have all season in that situation, then Tracy would hit for her. We'll see if she's faced with that decision. As Motley hits one toward the middle, it's stopped by Miller, and the throw to first is in time. Miller just got there from short as she makes yet another good play on the infield. She's played a tremendous shortstop today, and the Dolphins are denied in the 4th. We head to inning number 5. It is still a 1-run game. Mercy 1, Staten Island nothing. We're back here on CSI Sportsnet. Dolphins trail 1-0 entering the 5th inning. And they have made a pitching change. Kennedy Ruth in, as we suspected. Third pass through the order. And Tracy Garofalo will go to her bullpen and bring on the winning pitcher from Game 1. Alexandra Frenza pitched well. The walks were the biggest issue. She gave up only the solo home run, did not allow a run to score as a result of the walks, but she exits on the short end of things, trailing 1-0.
Yeah, and realistically, overall, a solid outing from Frenza. Obviously, the walks were an issue, and of course, that home run looming largely right now with a 1-run lead here in the 5th inning. But we'll have to see now what this does for Mercy facing Kennedy Ruth once again. In the early parts of that Game 1, they were not able to get to Ruth. They got to her later in the game. That's where they got their first run. But she's quickly now behind this count, Joe, 3-0.
Speaking of walks, that's been the Achilles heel for Ruth all season. And with the top of the order coming up here in this inning, now is not a time where she can afford to issue free passes. That being said, she's come in out of the bullpen plenty of times this year, but you have to think that it's a bit easier when you're the starting pitcher. You know when you're going to throw, you know when you're coming in. Perhaps she did know before this game when she was coming in, as that drops it to left field for a base hit. Murphy takes a big turnaround first, but she will stop there. And Allison Murphy is on with a leadoff single in the 5th.
Nice at bat from Murphy right there, getting that single. Almost had an RBI hit earlier in this game, but was robbed on a good play from Balderas. But gets the single in the left field, gets a leadoff runner for the Mavericks here in the 5th.
Shannon Cisco, the batter. Number 2 hitter for Mercy. No indication she's looking to bunt as she swings and misses for strike 1.
Had an RBI double in Game 1 off of Ruth. The lone run for the Mavericks in that game. That one went right off the left field wall.
Comes the 0-1. Now, batter showing bunt, and Cisco pulled it back as she takes ball 1. Interesting to see her swing away on the first pitch and bunt at the second. Perhaps she was taking all the way, but I doubt it. And she is indeed looking to bunt as the throw goes to second, a bit high and not in time. They had a chance there. Throw was a bit high, and just sliding in time was Murphy.
I think it was also just a second late from Latour on that throw. Just missing the caught steal from Murphy at second. So now gives Cisco an RBI opportunity.
Count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Comes the 1-2. And that's swung on and missed as the ball gets away to the backstop. The runner is heading for second. The throw goes there. The runner is now heading home. And the call at the plate is safe. We will get a second look at it. That was awfully close. And Nick, I don't have an inclination either way. All I can tell you is that I do not envy the home plate umpire.
That's tough.
Wow.
That could be a season-breaking play right there. Here's the replay. You see Ruth will throw it to second. Warner gets a good job throwing it to the plate. That's a great throw. And I'm inclined, Joe, to say that's an out.
It was so close, Nick. We'll slow it down again. I'll get a look at it. I have to on a play that big. As that's through the right side, and another run comes home. So I'm still scoring the last play. Now, that would go down as a wild pitch or a pass ball previously, Nick. What do you think?
That would be a wild pitch in the dirt.
Well, apparently you can't have a batter reach via a strikeout, so I'm going to have to rescore the whole inning. So, Nick, I need you to pull out your phone and start scoring the plays. We had a single through the right side, and then we had 4-3. Runner advances to second. We need to figure out how to get this runner on first base.
Now batting, number 8, Samantha Frank.
So do you need me to score that ground ball? Or,
I need you to score everything for now.
Okay.
And you can take over as I try and figure this out.
Samantha Frank swings and misses on the first pitch for a strike.
Don't worry about the pitches.
0-1.
Don't worry about the pitches. I haven't had the situation in a long time where the batter struck out and reached.
Frank last time up hit the go-ahead home run, giving her team at that point a 1-0 lead. They've added now 2 more runs here in this 5th. There's still some controversy, though, at that play at the plate. We have a chance. We'll definitely get a second look at the replay, another look at it, because I'm still inclined to say that it was an out, but home plate umpire thought otherwise. And allowed not only 1 run to score, but then the next at bat will deliver the 3rd run of the inning. Sal misses low for a ball, 2-2 now the count. It's a crucial spot in this game, considering for Ruth, you don't want to make it even further damage, especially with the batter at the plate. Ball in the dirt. Latour will throw to 3rd. But once again, good heads-up base running from the Mavericks as Miller is into 3rd base. So the wild pitch right there will now force the count to 3-2. Ground ball in the infield now will have to force the Dolphins to potential to now look at that runner at 3rd and make sure she is not coming home. 3-1. Hit a mile high is playable, and it's Ruth that makes the catch. No one was covering the plate. Thankfully for the Dolphins, not only no injury on the collision, but the runner at 3rd, Miller, will have to hold on that pop-up. So now 2 away in the inning. Victoria Sepala now will come up with 2 away. Try to bring home that 4th run of the game for Mercy.
All right,
in the
Nick,
dirt again. Here comes
up.
the runner Miller, and she will score on the wild pitch. And it's now a 4-0 lead for the Mavericks, Joe.
Well, that's one way to come back on headset, and that's a brutal break for the Dolphins as a wild pitch brings home the 3rd run of the inning. And it looked like Ruth might be able to get out of it, limiting the damage to just 2. Instead, a second costly wild pitch brings home a run. You also have to wonder about the decision to throw to second base, which allowed the run to score. The Dolphins may or may not have had the out at the plate, but I was a bit surprised that they threw. That was a gutsy play by Latour. She put a lot of trust in Warner at second to get the ball back, because you know the runner is coming home.
Well, that was actually Ruth that threw the ball to second base.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, what do I know? As that's it out to right. And
Oh, no, you're right.
the catch.
You're right.
It was Latour.
It was Latour.
Okay. I was very confused as
Now, Joe,
Sepala flies out. We'll stay here.
Yeah.
Don't play that replay yet. I need
Okay.
to get a look at it. So let me
Okay.
put this ball in play and record that. All right, let's see.
So what do you want me to put at, 75 or 50?
50.
So here's the star of the play with the wild pitch.
Keep walking the draw line.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got it. Right here.
You're in there.
Okay. So when you come back, Joe, we'll look at this play once again.
What do you see, Nick?
So we'll see it again. You can see the throw from behind the plate. And it was Ruth. She threw it to Ruth. Ruth
okay.
threw it to second. Warner then picked it up, threw it back to the plate. I think she's out.
I think she's safe.
You think she's safe?
I think she's safe. And the reason I think so is because if you look as that ball is lined toward 3rd,
That's play by Madison Hack.
and Carcano is out at 1st. Great play by Hack at 3rd. The reason I think she's out, based on the replay, is because if you look at the left-hand hitter's batter's box, when the ball arrives and the tag appears to be applied, it looks like the runner's hand is already in the opposite batter's box. The line for the opposite batter's box is right there. So if that's the batter's box, the plate is pretty far to the left of that. And I have to think her hand got in. If the batter's box is where it appears to be on that replay. And obviously with more right-handed hitters, that batter's box is almost invisible at this point. The other batter's box, you can see a bit more. I could be mistaken, but looking at it for the first time, that's my instinct looking at the replay.
Guess we'll have to agree to disagree.
Really tough to tell.
It's really a close call.
Give it one more look right now. 0.25, drag it down. I'm following the live action, the count 1-1 on Cassidy Latour.
I'll play it in a second for you.
That's in for a called strike.
One spike.
Go back. I think she's safe. I think she's safe. That's headed our way, but it clears us.
I was going to say I lost it.
Don't let it hit the camera now. That's the most important thing. When it's that close, and I said it immediately, you do not envy the person responsible for making that call.
Right. Especially in this situation. That's a potential season-ending play right there. Dolphins still have some time to get back into this game. But the impact of that play certainly loomed large as the inning went on for the Dolphins. 3 more runs for Mercy, and now a 4-0 lead. And with the way Benson has pitched here today, the Dolphins will need to do some damage now more than ever. Still 1 out in this inning. As they'll get a hit batter right there. And we'll see the first time today, another one of our graduating seniors, Elizabeth Moore, get her first at bat. She will pinch hit for Sabrina Caffel.
So Moore gets an at-bat here. Moore among 3 Dolphins seniors recognized ahead of Game 1. We've seen Victoria Whalen already in Game 1. She got a pinch hit appearance.
Potential to see maybe Kelsey Strayer as well in relief.
I have a feeling the Dolphins probably aren't going to make another pitching change in this game. That's just a hunch.
We'll have to see. But regardless, now Moore gets a huge opportunity. Dolphin top of the lineup coming back up, Joe. This is a huge at-bat for CSI that they really need.
Moore takes down and in for ball 1.
If you're able to get Moore back up on base and bring the top of the lineup up, it could bring some dangerous situation as she hits this one into right field. But a nice job in right field to make the catch. A huge out number 2 is that one almost dropping down that right field line.
Ryer had to hustle over, but she got there.
Now batting number 27.
And that will bring up Eileen Balderas.
A huge out recorded right there for the Mavericks, now bringing CSI back to the top of the lineup.
That's it to short.
And that one's
That's
going
a
to be
tough hop. That will be a hit.
That'll be a hit.
That will be a hit. So Balderas gets the benefit of a tough hop. And now the Dolphins have 2 on with 2 outs.
And if there's anyone you want in this spot with 2 outs, it's certainly Anissa Acosta, who's gotten the better of Benson, at least in Game 1, with a home run. And with first and second, the Dolphins really could use a base hit or at least get her on base to maybe load the bases for the tying run, which would be Olivia Wanser on deck.
That misses for ball 1. You get the sense, Nick, that it might be now or never for the Dolphins.
Right.
They have Acosta and Wanser due up back-to-back. If Wanser gets a chance, she will come to the plate as the tying run. As that's hit toward the left side. Backhanded it short. Throw to third. Not in time. And everyone is safe.
That one will go down as an E6.
Yes, it will.
So how about this, Joe? 2 outs in the inning. Bases loaded. Tying run at the plate. Olivia Wanser will get the opportunity. Dolphins will get a pinch runner at first base. Acosta will come out. It'll be Corinne DiMartini now going to pinch run for her at first. If you're CSI, this is the one of the batters you want up in this spot.
Nick, this right here could be the biggest plate appearance of the season for the Dolphins. Olivia Wanzer comes to the plate with the bases loaded and 2 outs. She represents the tying run. Pitch on its way, and that's it back toward the circle. Knocked down by Benson, and Wanzer is thrown out at first. That one seemed destined for the hole up the middle, but Benson got a glove on it, stopped it, and threw out the Dolphins' designated player for the final out in the home 5th. CSI strands the bases loaded. They trail 4-0 through 5.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby.
Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela burns it. An incredible finish by Hall.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
The 6th inning opens with a pop-up on the infield. And Madison Hack is retired on 1 pitch for out number 1.
Well, Joe, certainly a demoralizing way to end that previous half inning for the Dolphins. You mentioned Olivia Wanzer seemed to have gotten a huge hit up the middle that would have brought home at least 1, maybe 2 runs in that spot that would have cut the deficit to 2 runs. But a great play on the circle from Benson to get that final out and keep this a 4-run game.
The Mavericks pitching since the 2nd inning of Game 1 has been fantastic. They've given up nothing.
It's all been from Benson.
Their defense as well has made some really big plays. They had the error in Game 1 that allowed a run to score and an error in that last inning. But overall, the gloves have been a net positive for Mercy in this game. Count 2-0 now. Monica DeBrule at the plate. And she swings and misses for strike 1. Dolphins have 6 outs to play with. When they come to bat in the 6th, they will have 5, 6, and 7 due up. Comes the 2-1. And that's bunted toward the circle. Ruth has it, and her throw to first is in time. All right, foul ball. Foul ball, Nick.
Okay.
Hit her in the box.
That's what I thought.
I almost scored it. Almost.
CSI has 4, 5, and 6 in the next inning, or you said 5, 6, 7?
5, 6, 7.
5, 6, 7.
The good news is that by prolonging that last inning and getting to Wanzer's spot in the order as DeBrule strikes out, by doing that, they set themselves up to have their big bats at the plate should they muster a rally in the 7th.
Right.
So I think in that respect, they set themselves up pretty well. Ruth with 2 quick outs here in the 6th. And Dylan Ryer shows butt and pulls it back. She takes ball 1. Comes the 1-0, and it's fouled away. Did get an update from up the hill, Nick. The Dolphins fell behind early in Game 2, 5-0. Final in Game 1 was 9-0. That was the score when I left the complex to come back down earlier. As that's bunted right to Ruth again. And those are 2 easy outs the Mavericks handed Ruth in the circle as the side is retired. So the Dolphins will come to bat, still trailing by 4. Our score headed to the home 6th, 4-0 Mavericks.
College sports.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal
and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us and for college sports.
And we are back from the CSI softball complex where the Dolphins trail by 4 runs entering the bottom half of the 6th inning. And Amanda Stalker hits one well deep toward the left field corner. And that is a foul ball.
Tracy wanted a home run on that one.
She wanted it.
The Dolphins definitely needed it.
She tried.
Just
she
went
always
foul.
tries.
It just went foul.
She does everything she can from the third base coaching box to will that ball fair every time there's one that's close.
If she could control the wind to make sure it was a fair ball, I'm sure she would.
If she could wave her arms and create a gust, to
of
send
wind.
the ball fair, she would do it. A joy to watch coaching third base as that's in at the knees for a called strike 2.
That certainly would have brought a spark to the Dolphin dugout, and they were able to get a home run right there and make it a 3-run game with still 6 outs to play.
I have 0-2. They have 1-1 on the scoreboard.
I thought it was 0-2 as well.
As that's hit to second, briefly bobbled, and Stalker is thrown out as Murphy was able to recover, and there's one away. That will bring up Olivia Warner.
Now batting number 42, Olivia Warner.
Now, Joe, you were talking about the baseball team that last inning before we went to break. There was an update. You said they were down early 5-0.
That's my latest.
That was the latest? Okay.
That is my latest. So that's fouled away. Watch out.
Yep.
The ball rebounds off that backstop quickly. You have to have your head on a swivel out there.
Yep.
But do not flinch. Now, are you allowed to flinch in the field of play? You do have a glove out there, so I'd say no.
Yeah, I think the only time you're acceptable to flinching is maybe if it's a fly ball into the outfield, and there's let's say it's a very sunny day and you can't really see it. Like you'll see sometimes, players try to use the glove to shield away the sun, but even then sometimes it doesn't even work.
Count even at 1-1. And Warner takes a called strike 2 on the off-speed pitch. Comes the 1-2. That's wide. Now, something we should note about that first doubleheader. That doubleheader was played in the rain. And I think, based on what we've seen today, you'd have to think that those games are the outliers rather than these two games, because you could not ask for better weather today, and it has been advantage pitching.
Early on, did not look like that was going to be the case the way the Dolphins came out swinging to start game number 1.
Count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Comes the 2-2. And there's another good off-speed pitch as Warner swings and misses for strike 3.
Betcha just continues to mow down these Dolphin hitters here today, Joe. Another punch out to her belt for these 2 games that she has pitched in. It'll be up to Bridget Motley now with 2 away in the inning.
Motley for the Dolphins, the number 6 hitter. If she doesn't get on, it's going to be 7, 8, 9 in the 7th.
Right.
Dolphins have used a couple of pinch hitters already as Motley takes a strike. We haven't seen Natalia Kanath yet. She's been often used off the bench as a pinch hitter. As that's strike 2. And Motley quickly will have to work out of a 2-strike hole. Dolphins also have Madison Edwards, who they've used as a pinch hitter quite a bit this year, especially in the latter half of the year. Alyssa Acosta hasn't played today either, as that's taken outside. Count on Motley, 1-2. And that off-speed pitch missed high. Seen a lot more of that pitch here in this inning. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes on the CSI third baseman. Pitch on its way. That's fought off foul. Comes the 2-2. And that's low for ball 3. So Motley has done a good job here in this at bat to battle back from down 2 strikes and to run the count full.
Just had a couple good at bats here today against Benson. Well, to get a walk to at least extend the inning for CSI.
That sliced foul again. Well, if you're the Dolphins here, if you could get a base runner or 2 and set your 7th inning up with maybe 9-1-2, that's a lot better than having 7-8-9.
Right.
Get Balderas and Acosta a guaranteed at-bat and hope that from there, the middle of the order, can pick it up. As Motley hits one toward the middle, and that's through for a base hit. Motley's had a nice day at the plate as she's on with a 2-out single, and that will bring up Mariah Carcano.
Slow dribbler up the middle for Motley on that one to get another base hit to her day. Extend the inning for CSI, brings up Mariah Carcano. So at least now, Joe, they'll have 8-9-1 in the 7th inning. So they have at least guaranteed Balderas another at-bat. But now they would like to keep the inning going so they can give more at-bats to Acosta and at least Wanser.
Dolphins would love to get another base runner here, but they won't do it. As Carcano chops one toward third, and she's thrown out at first to retire the side. Mavericks will look for some insurance when they come to bat in the 7th. They lead CSI 4-0.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student athlete.
Top of the 7th inning from the CSI softball complex. Mavericks lead the Dolphins 4-0, and Mercy will look for some insurance against Kennedy Ruth.
They will have the top of the lineup here in the 7th. They get their second go-around, at least in this game, against Kennedy Ruth.
8-9-1 will be due up for the Dolphins in their half of the 7th. As that pitch is in for a called strike. Meanwhile, for Mercy, 1-2-3 due up as they look to tack on some extra runs here in the 7th.
It's more important than ever right now for the Dolphins. If they can keep this a 4-run game, do not want any insurance runs coming in to make the deficit even further for them with their final 3 outs coming up in the bottom of the 7th.
Comes the 1-1. Matt misses high for ball 2. Comes the 2-1. And that's hit towards second, where Warner makes the catch.
Soft liner to second base for the first out of the inning. Brings up Cisco now.
Shannon Cisco.
And you had to think, coming out of game one, that putting the pressure on the Mavericks swung the advantage in CSI's direction. Entering the day, obviously Mercy had the advantage, needing one win. But credit to the Mavericks for responding in this game. They've gotten an incredibly well-pitched game from Benson. The bats have done enough. Their leading home run hitter coming through with another long ball. And they've capitalized on CSI miscues, in particular the wild pitches and the walks. Comes the 1-0. That misses high. I think something else not to be lost in this game is that Alexandra Frenza pitched pretty well, but I think the reason she left the game when she did was because of those walks she issued. It got her through the lineup for 2 passes very quickly, and she came out after just 4 innings.
And think about that one inning where she allowed 3 walks, loaded the bases with just 1 out. It was very fortunate enough to get herself out of the inning by getting that strikeout and then getting that play at third. But certainly the next turnaround for her was a huge reason as well for her getting taken out of the game. But just unfortunate couple breaks did not go the Dolphins' way in that 5th inning, and that's why we're currently standing at a 4-0 game.
On game 1, the Dolphins got seemingly every break, every bounce. As Balderas makes a nice pick at short. How about the defensive plays from these shortstops today?
Yeah, another great play from Balderas. I mentioned that play at third base earlier, and she was responsible for making that defensive play. And job by this, we're going to get Kelsey Strayer try to get the final out of the 7th.
All right, so Strayer will get a chance to pitch here on Senior Day, needing 1 out to get through the top half of the 7th. And that will give the Dolphins a chance, trailing by 4. First batter she will face will be Avery Miller. Line score for this one, the Mavericks, 4 runs on 6 hits, no errors. Dolphins with no runs on 5 hits. And Nick, it's been the long ball, it's been the wild pitches, but in terms of hit tally, there's only a 1-hit differential between these 2 teams.
Right. And we talked about it, that one inning where the Dolphins had the bases loaded. Huge difference in this game right now is also that play that happened in the circle. If Benson does not get her glove down and makes the play, that's 2 runs for the Dolphins right there. And we're looking at a completely different ball game going into the bottom half of the 7th inning. Now it's still a 4-0 game. And for Kelsey Strayer, now we'll look to get the final out of this game, keep it 4 runs, and give CSI a chance to potentially tie or maybe even walk it off in the bottom half of the inning.
Dolphins will need at least 4, and they hope to keep the deficit right where it is as they turn to Kelsey Strayer. That pitch is swung on and missed for strike 1. And Nick, it is very easy to forget to make a pitching change here in the stats. I almost forgot. But we have Strayer in the game. As that's fought off foul.
There hasn't been a lot today, so you haven't had to do that much.
Minus the batter reaching on a strikeout, it's been a very, very easy day. 0-2 the count on Miller. Strayer looking to send this game to the home 7th, and she misses high. Comes the 1-2, and that's hit to second. Warner plays it on a bounce and throws out Miller to retire the side. Dolphins down to their final 3 outs will come to the plate trailing by 4, a spot in the East Coast Conference playoffs on the line.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
And we are back for the bottom half of the 7th inning. Joe Foreman rejoining you alongside Nick Bavona. And the Dolphins are down to their final 3 outs. Looking to move on to the East Coast Conference playoffs. They will need at least 4 runs to do so. The Mavericks looking for 3 outs. And if they could set the Dolphins down here in the 7th without allowing 4 runs or more, they punch a ticket to the conference playoffs.
For the Dolphins, they'll have 8, 9, and 1 here up in the bottom half of the 7th. Right now at the plate is Cassie Latour. Dolphins will have a pinch hitter on deck as well. So
that's Natalia Kanath on deck.
You mentioned her earlier, had not had a bad bat so far today, so she will get in at bat. And she'll look to have a runner on base at least when she comes up to the plate.
Latour ahead 1-0. And she takes a strike.
I think if you're the Dolphins, obviously these 8, 9 hitters, you want to get on base in this spot, obviously, to give your opportunity, to give the top of the order an opportunity to get some damage on the board.
And Latour swings and misses for strike 2. Benson looking to go the distance here. Pitched the final 6 innings of Game 1 and has pitched all of Game 2. Has allowed just 2 runs. Those came in her first inning of work during the first game.
And only one of them being earned.
That's right. There was an error at shortstop that cost her an unearned run. But she rebounded nicely, and the Dolphins scored nothing the rest of the way. Count even at 2 on Latour. And she hits one in the air, foul territory.
Out of play.
Out of play. Again, my pitch count nowhere near official. I missed a full inning. So I would estimate Benson to be somewhere between 70 and 80 pitches.
Well, I did write down the amount of pitches I think she threw in that inning.
I didn't have time for that. As Latour hits one on a line straight to short, and Miller makes the catch for out number 1.
Good contact right there from Latour, but just an unfortunate line drive right to short. Dolphins now down to their final 2 outs. As Natalia Kanath will get a pinch hit opportunity here.
So Kanath will pinch hit for Sabrina Caffel, which ends Caffel's day. She's been pinch hit for twice. Kanath comes to the plate here with the bases empty and 1 out in the 7th. Mavericks 2 outs away from a playoff berth. Dolphins hope to prolong their season. Here comes the pitch. And Kanath chases way upstairs for strike 1.
A little bit of a half-hearted swing on that one. Didn't know whether to hold up or swing. Got fooled by that fastball high for strike 1.
Comes the 0-1. And that's grounded down the line. Fair
That's
ball.
A fair ball. One.
Crowd.
Now one said fair, the other one said foul, I think.
It was fair. It was fair.
So what's the official call? Did they say fair?
The official call is fair. I thought for sure it was fair.
It looks like it is fair. It looks like Acosta is going to pinch run for Kanath at first.
Okay. So after some deliberation, the final call is fair.
You said it earlier. You don't really envy the home plate umpire in these type of spots with a lot on the line.
You know, we're directly behind home plate. The umpire obviously gets in position along the line, but the Mavericks dugout has a really good look at it, and they're adamant it was foul. Their angle is better than ours.
Well, think about this now for the Dolphins show. They get that single, still 1 out in the inning, and now you're back to the top of the lineup. So these could get very interesting. They're able to get some hits, the next 2 batters.
And Balderas hits one well to right. That was misjudged off the bat. And recovering to make the catch was Ryer. That ball was smoked. And Ryer recovered in time to make the catch right along the line.
And if Ryer was not playing a little bit closer to the line, that would be an extra base hit for Balderas right there, down that right field line. So a good defensive alignment right there for the Mavericks. They are now 1 out away from clinching the final spot in the ECC playoffs.
Dolphins down to their final out, and it is left to Anissa Acosta. TJ homered off of Alexi Benson in game 1, and she fouls that one away. That ball Balderas just hit right there might be the best hit ball the Dolphins have had all game, with the exception of the foul ball by Stalker.
Right.
Ball Wanzer hit that was knocked down was hit pretty hard too. As that's lined into right field for a base hit, and the Dolphins stay alive. Acosta is on with a 2-out single, and the Dolphins have the Acosta sisters on base with 2 outs, and Olivia Wanzer coming to bat.
Well, the Mavericks are certainly grateful that Ryer made that play in right field now.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would be an RBI right there for Acosta. Does get a single, so both Acostas now are on base for the Dolphins. So it brings up Olivia Wanzer. And if she can get on, she would bring up the tying run to the plate and Amanda Stalker.
I just said it, Nick. Stalker missed a home run by a couple of feet foul in her last at-bat. As Wanzer fouls that one back. If you can avoid it, you certainly don't want to face Stalker in this spot. Wanzer behind 0-1 here.
You feel the tension right now here at softball. A lot going on for this final at-bat potentially for CSI.
A lot of eyes on this game right now as Wanzer hits it to third, and going the short way and stepping on the bag is Madison Hack, as the Mercy University Mavericks are headed to the East Coast Conference playoffs. They defeat the Dolphins in Game 2 by a final score of 4-0, rebounding from a Game 1 defeat, and Mercy is headed to the postseason as the Dolphins will see their season come to an end on their home field in the final day of the 2024 regular season.
Yeah, tough break for CSI, and really had to give your tip of the cap to Alexi Benson in this game, Joe. Not only for this one, but think about the impact in game number 2. The Dolphins had a 5-0 lead after the second inning, and we had mentioned there was a good possibility they could have gotten the run rule and maybe ended the game early, which could have given the Dolphins potentially an opportunity to preserve some of their arms in this game today, maybe give Ruth maybe the start. Who knows how the game would have went the rest of the way. But Benson got out of the second inning after giving up the home run, and then that error we mentioned, and then giving up the run after that. Went scoreless the rest of the way. A 5-1 win for CSI in that first game, and then getting the CGSO here. Got into some trouble a couple times in this game. A huge out recorded and in the circle when Olivia Wanzer had the bases loaded. That really killed the Dolphins momentum at that point in the game. Then makes the ground out play at third base to get the final out of this game. And unfortunately, a tough end of the season for CSI, but as we've seen all year from this team, Joe, they were very resilient, very fighting to the very end, and they just a couple of fortunate bounces did not go their way in this game.
Well, that sequence in the 5th inning was a killer, Nick. The wild pitches that allowed a couple of runs to score and everything that occurred on the base paths during the road 5th, that really set up the Mavericks in a good spot, leading by 4 runs. This game completely changes if you're trailing by 2, maybe even 3. The complexion of the game really was altered in a drastic way when that 4th run came home. And the Dolphins will look back on this one and lament that 5th inning as they ultimately out-hit the Mavericks 7-6, yet they allow 4 runs. It was the home run that got things started for Mercy. Long ball by Samantha Frank. They never looked back from there as they led the rest of the way. Alexi Benson, obviously, their MVP today. She pitched 12 consecutive scoreless innings to end her day after allowing 2 runs in her first inning of relief during Game 1. Huge effort for her across both games, and she helped send the Mavericks to the postseason. So, Nick, as I mentioned earlier, this very well could be my final broadcast of the 2024 season. We have a couple of baseball games next week, but I have a client, a game that I have to cover in Long Island on Saturday. I certainly won't be here for that game, and I'll be at Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night for Game 5 between the Knicks and the 76ers. So I'll be here for the start of the game early in the week, but I can't start calling a game that I cannot finish. Our athletic communications content creator, Marquise Pickering, also wants to shout out our audience at home.
They can see him on the camera.
As I sign off for the final season, you can see him behind home plate. He is bringing us all the sights and sounds. You can catch some of those at CSI Dolphins on Instagram. But until perhaps next season, this has been Joe Foreman. You'll be joined on the air by my broadcast partner, Nick Bavona, for those games played next week. Perhaps I make a cameo, but if not, I want to say thank you to everyone who has made our broadcast possible this season. Hopefully I don't forget anyone. Of course, on-air talent, John Venezia. Back during our soccer season, Aaron Cohen and myself. Andrew Rotundo throughout soccer and basketball season. Louis Matrone has helped us with some engineering. Tyler Clark, a new member to the team this year. Pat Gialorenzo on camera. Antonino Cruciata one of our engineers, and, of course, my color commentary partner over at basketball for much of the season, Nick Durst, a huge part of what we do here at CSI Sportsnet.
Pat
Nick,
Fleming as well.
Thank to you. Well, he hasn't contributed to Sportsnet.
Well, yeah, but
he's here every step of the way.
He's
here every step of the way, as is Stephanie Smallridge. She has not missed a game all season, so thank you to her as well. My right hand here in Athletic Communications, helping to get things up and running each and every game day. Nick, of course, thank you to you, my color commentary partner for all of baseball and softball this year. You still have 2 more games to go, so your final words perhaps will come next week as baseball takes the field for the final time at the CSI Baseball Complex. So, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. If you can't get enough of me, check out PDF Sports Network on YouTube. We have an arena football game there tonight. Home opener for the Jersey Bearcats.
And also be tuned in. There's potentially Dolphin Pods coming up this week as well.
We are recording 2 episodes next week. The first will feature Ava Thompson of CSI Track and Field. We'll record that episode on Tuesday. Nick, you and I will then wrap up championship season here at CSI, recording an episode immediately following my conversation with Ava. So back-to-back episodes of the Dolphin Pod. One will premiere ahead of the cross-country track and field championship. The other will premiere ahead of our Heroes Day game on Saturday. So our season finale at the Baseball Diamond will be preceded by an all-new episode of the Dolphin Pod. Check that out. We will see you early next week on Tuesday for baseball. And, of course, again on Saturday, Nick, you'll have the call for Joe Foreman. And for myself, I should say, I'm signing off for the year. Again, thank you, everyone, for watching. From me, enjoy the rest of your Saturday.